Ron has been a first responder and in the preparedness arena for years. Ron has lived in earthquake country, where quite a few large earthquakes hit San Diego, and the state of Ron and his crews have saved many people's lives. Ron has spoken to hundreds of community groups, helped organize preparedness fairs where he has lived. Ron has met hundreds of people and he valued in those communities and continued to work and lecture people on the complex work of emergency/disaster preparedness and emergency management. Ron have spent 24 years in law enforcement and have an extensive background in law enforcement and tactics. His career was spent in homicide, traffic accident investigation, weapons and tactics, and personal/executive protection and emergency management. Ron Tyler has been a missionary for his church and is now a gospel doctrine instructor. If you would like to support our program and what we are doing, you may make donations to paypal.me/mrmgmtsop591, paypal.me/rltnspd@hotmail.com, Venmo @RonaldTyler17.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. I'm sorry we're coming on the air so late tonight. It's already 9:20 p.m. I took my wife out for a early Valentine's dance held down the street at a church here, and we wanted to do that. Carol and I had a wonderful time. They had snacks and music and dancing and kids there playing with their friends. All their parents had a good time. It was overall a great time tonight, and I want to thank my dear wife for that opportunity that she and I both gave each other. And we want to thank all those also that attended that dance tonight. The leadership of the ward here and other people were there. It was awesome. It really was. I want to thank everybody that attended that. Now, I want to get down to brass tacks here on our program tonight. The first thing I want to talk about is what is going on. Okay? That's the biggest thing we have here. I'm going to show you a picture in just a second. There's been an aircraft crash Thursday night. An aircraft crash in Alaska Thursday night. Now, this crash was not normal. Okay? Was not normal at all. This involved an aircraft that went down. Okay? It was a Cessna aircraft with 9 people aboard. A big deal. A great big deal. Right here. Okay? I want to talk about this. Then I want to talk about the aircraft crash in Washington, D.C. A missing plane with 10 people aboard, it was 10 people aboard, was found crashed in Alaska today. One day after it left Nome, Alaska, and it left for Nome, Alaska, and never arrived. There are believed to be no survivors on board yet. The wreckage of the plane was found approximately 34 miles southeast of Nome, and 3 people were found dead inside. The Maritime Military Branch said today that they do not expect anybody to be surviving this plane crash. 7 others who were on the plane are believed to be inside the aircraft, but are currently inaccessible due to the condition of the aircraft when it crashed. The Coast Guard said today, "Our heartfelt condolences are with those that were affected by this tragic incident." This Bering Air Cessna Caravan took off Thursday from Unalakleet, Alaska, Unalakleet, Alaska, on the east coast of Norton Sound in western Alaska. It was headed to Nome around 140 miles away. The Coast Guard Lieutenant Commander Benjamin McIntyre Coble said there were 9 passengers and 1 pilot on board. The flight took off from Unalakleet about 2:37 p.m. Thursday, and Bering Air Director of Operations David Olson said that they were hunting literally all evening, all night, and they finally found the plane today on land. They were searching the Barents Sea to the west. They did not see it there. Their search went eastbound, and they finally found the aircraft. Radar analysis showed that around 3:18 p.m. Thursday, the aircraft experienced some kind of event that happened, which caused them to experience a rapid loss in elevation and rapid loss in speed. Alaska Governor Mike Dunleavy said today that he and his wife Rose are heartbroken by the disappearance of the Boeing air flight over Norton Sound. Our prayers are with the passengers and the pilot and their loved ones during this difficult time. Nome Volunteer Fire Department said the search and rescue were activating for the recovery, with assistance from the Alaska National Guard. The National Transportation Safety Board said it was launching a team today to investigate the crash. Nome and Unalakleet were not serviced by the state's highway system, leaving air and water or snowmobile and trails the main form of transport between the two cities. Now, with that said, what has been going on with the air crash in Washington, D.C.? According to the National Transportation Safety Board and the military, we know that the military helicopter was running from north to southbound down the Potomac River. The plane was redirected from Reagan National Airport runway 1 to land diagonally from the southeast to the northwest on runway 33 at Reagan National. Now, they were directed out northeastbound. Then they came back and made a hard left-hand turn to line up with runway 33. While they were lining up with runway 33, then the helicopter hit them broadside to the rear of the plane. We've explained this before, but the problem is this. They've now assessed that the helicopter was a primary reason for the crash. The helicopter was approximately 100 feet above its intended spot. The helicopter was never to exceed 200 feet off the ground. The helicopter was up at 300 to 325 feet high. The plane was within 300 to 325 feet high as well. And they crashed. Now the helicopter, it should not have been there. It should not have been there. Not only that, but the crash avoidance system on the helicopter had been deactivated. The helicopter anti-collision crash system had been deactivated. Deactivated, not working. Now, the pilot was Rebecca Lobach, 28 years old, out of North Carolina. The co-pilot was a training pilot. Okay? He was a very experienced pilot with over 1,000 hours. Rebecca Lobach was a pilot with 450 hours training experience in that military helicopter. The co-pilot was training her on a check ride to make sure that she could still operate the helicopter. Prior to her being on that helicopter, she had been assigned to President Biden, assigned him as a person from the military to help President Biden with things in the White House. Okay? Then she came back after Biden was let go from the office of president. She went back to the military. She went back to the Army. She had been an experienced pilot before being assigned to the White House. And that was a voluntary assignment, by the way. She went back to the Army full time, and she had a check ride that night on board the aircraft. The Chief Warrant Officer, co-pilot, was trying to make sure that she had the training time on the aircraft and to make sure she was still aware of the procedures. It was obviously the case that she was not. She was flying that helicopter 100 plus feet above the normal place it was supposed to go. It was supposed to not exceed 200 feet off the ground, and it was at over 300 when the crash occurred. Now that has come out today. That's come out today. Dr. Jamin's place said, given the location to the White House, she should have never been allowed to fly in that airspace. Lack of experience. That might be the case. But she had over 450 hours on board the aircraft. She should have been experienced enough to know what's going on. When the call-outs came from the Reagan National Airport Tower, did they see the plane? Did they see the plane? Came out several times. The co-pilot, the Chief Warrant Officer said yes. The co-pilot said yes. Now there is some differentiation here. Some people said that the co-pilot and pilot were wearing night vision goggles. Some people say they were, and some people were saying they weren't. If they were wearing night vision goggles, then the two pilots did not have peripheral vision, meaning they only saw what was straight in front of them. The pilots may have only seen what was straight in front of them. Given that information, they may not have seen the plane at all. Okay? There were so many lights, I've shown you the video before, I'm not going to show it again. There were so many lights all over Washington, D.C., including the White House, the Capitol Building, the Washington National Monument there, and other buildings around the area, and Reagan International Flight runway lights. They may not have been able to see the plane at all until the last minute. But having their crash avoidance system turned off, there was no way other than the control tower telling them to avoid the aircraft. As President Trump said, they could have climbed out of the crash area, or they could have fallen down to where they should have been. Or they could have pulled left, or they could have pulled right. But because the crash avoidance system was not activated, they may not have known much of anything, and they crashed into the plane. So at this point, the military helicopter was the one who was to blame for this crash. Now, as more details come out, I'll share them with you. But that's the latest as of today. That comes from the National Transportation Safety Board. Does anybody have any questions about that? Dr. Jamin's place said even with night vision, she still had HUD visibility. Absolutely. Absolutely should have. But again, we don't know what was going on. And the helicopter never communicated information that they were having a problem. Never did. That's sad. Now, I had said before that I thought that this may have been intentional. I do not believe it was intentional. With the crash avoidance system deactivated, they really had no idea what was going on. The pilot, Rebecca Lomont, should have known that she was at 300 feet. With maximum altitude should have been 200 feet. She was well out of her range. The co-pilot the check pilot should have been able to assess where they were at and tell her to go further to the ground. That did not happen, and there was tragically a plane crash, unfortunately. Yes, surgery, the heads-up display, the HUD display. I should have clarified that. I'm sorry. Thanks, surgery, for that. And thanks to Dr. James Place for that as well. Now, do you guys have any other questions here? Does anybody have any other questions here? I know it's important, or I would not even be bringing it up. I want to make sure everybody is aware of what's happening. Okay? Okay. Dr. James Place said the check pilot should have taken control, and I completely agree. Somebody was not doing their job. Actually, both pilots were not doing their job. Now, oh gosh. Just a second here. Okay. I want to play a video for you. The third person on board the helicopter. Third person on board the helicopter should be talked about here. Okay? Sergeant O'Hara. His name was Ryan O'Hara. He was a crew chief on board the helicopter. I want to play a video now for you about what happened with him. And I think this is very important also.
At Madison Home Builders, we strive to give you the best beginning imaginable.
The Potomac, a rookie. On Wednesday night, when the first bodies were being recovered from the crash in the Potomac, a rookie DC firefighter did something out of the ordinary.
He noticed one of the victims was a soldier in uniform and decided on his own to stand guard over the body until he was relieved by a member of the military. He stood there for hours. News 4's Paul Wagner has the story tonight.
Good evening. When the probationary firefighter saw the remains of Staff Sergeant Ryan O'Hara come ashore here at the temporary morgue, he took it upon himself as a former Marine that there needed to be a dignified transfer, and so he stood with the body for as long as 4 hours. I spoke with the Staff Sergeant's father in Georgia by phone earlier today. He told me he was so appreciative. He's at a loss for words.
One of the first bodies to be carried ashore Wednesday night and handed over to the D.C. firefighters waiting at a temporary morgue was the crew chief on the Black Hawk helicopter, Staff Sergeant Ryan O'Hara, a husband and a father of a little boy. According to multiple sources familiar with the dignified transfer, a probationary firefighter and former Marine saw the soldier's flight suit and took it upon himself to stay with Sergeant O'Hara, never leaving his side for an estimated 4 hours.
One thing that I did want to say and thank is all those first responders, the people that sacrificed themselves to jump into that ice cold water to go through, the plane and the wreckage that retrieved our son. Thank you. There are no words to express our thanks for that. You helped bring our boy home.
Gary O'Hara says when he first heard about the crash, he just knew it was his son. But the crushing truth came the next morning when 2 soldiers showed up at his door. The probationary firefighter has been identified as Sean Wathen, who's assigned to Engine 12 and has been on the job for about 7 months.
He'll always be that 8-year-old little boy that I see, running and playing. He was a 28-year-old man, but I'll always think of him that way, and I just can't believe, I'm not going to see my little boy tomorrow or ever. It's really hard.
The O'Haras say their son could fix anything and originally wanted to be a pilot. but he could not get a medical clearance. On Wednesday, the Army will be holding a memorial service for all 3 crew members. The firefighters are invited.
Gary O'Hara told me that he'd like to meet these firefighters, especially the probationary firefighter who stood guard over his son's body, and he hopes to do that at a memorial service Wednesday at Fort Belvoir. In Southwest, Paul Wagner, News 4.
Okay. I want to end that there. I want to express my condolences also to all those, not just in the helicopter that lost their lives, but in the plane. Total 67 people.
Ever since Kimora was a little girl, she had her sights set on the sky, and Spectrum Internet brought the sky to her fingertips. As Kimora grew, her dreams grew with her, evolving and elevating with unlimited connectivity made possible by Spectrum Internet. Switch to Spectrum Internet Premier for just $30 a month with a 3-year price guarantee. Visit Spectrum.com. The sky was never the limit for Kimora.
Sorry about that. I thought it was turned off and it wasn't. But anyway, I want to show you that because I feel so bad. My emotions are very high at this point in time because of what happened. I've worked around the military most of my life. Military in San Diego, and military people in the National Guard in all the drills I've done ever since 2014. Actually 2005. 2005 when I first did a drill in Nevada. And since then I've been doing drills all over the country. I've been in 39 states doing disaster drills with law enforcement, fire and medical personnel, and the United States National Guard literally all over the country. I love and appreciate all of our people. They're very high quality, wonderful people. Anyway, guys, I really appreciate you guys being here with us. I want to talk about what's going on in Washington, D.C. right now. The Democrats have lost their mind. The Democrat lawmakers in the United States have lost their mind. Democrat lawmakers are staging protests outside the federal agencies, holding resistance-themed news conferences all over the country, trying to take to social media as they try to combat President Donald Trump's moves to remake the government with executive power. Relegated to the minority in Congress and left with few legislative tools to check President Trump, Democrat lawmakers are seeking to rally voters against his push to freeze federal loans and grants. President Trump dismantled the U.S. Agency for International Development and other agencies to allow his government efficiency czar, billionaire Elon Musk, to move DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, into the building. Okay? DEI. Okay? International Development and other agencies. Okay? That International Development Agency, aid. Okay? That government agency allowed billions and trillions of dollars to be spent all over the world. Billions and trillions of dollars to be spent literally all over the world. President Trump has dismantled it. Those employees of that agency, USAID, are now unemployed. President Trump shut down their office building. DOGE moved in. DOGE moved in. And as a result, the Democrat lawmakers have gone crazy, literally. They've literally gone nuts. They did not like the idea that President Trump was shutting down some of these agencies and shutting down grants and loans to the Democrats. Literally to the Democrats. Nancy Pelosi took millions of dollars and she was only making a salary of $185,000 as a U.S. Senator. Yet she's a multimillionaire now. Where is she getting the government money? From the government. For you and I. And other lawmakers as well. And now, President Trump is shutting it down. President Trump is shutting it down. And the Democrats don't like it. Doe's moved into USAID building. Democrats tried to get in this morning, and were not allowed to enter the building, angering the Democrat elite from the House and Senate. It's unreal. Minority Leader Schumer was out there calling for war, taking to the streets, taking the citizens in this country to the streets to protest. It's unreal what these Democrats are doing. It's unreal. And yet, it's happening all over the country now. We've had rioters in Los Angeles all week, since Monday. Rioters all over the United States, but especially Los Angeles, since Monday. And today, one of the rioters got stabbed. The person that was stabbed is in serious critical condition in the Los Angeles area hospital. The person that did it is now in jail. The person that did it is now in jail. President Trump is going to continue to dismantle the government. Schumer doesn't like it. Schumer says if he dismantles the government can't function. And the government will fall. But what Schumer doesn't realize is that he and his Democrats that have run this country for years now are finally getting a dose of their own medicine. They're getting a dose of their own medicine. Also, Berlinda's talking about Newsom in California. Newsom wants help to recover what happened in Pacific Palisades and the Eaton fire in Los Angeles. Trump said, bring that water, let that water run from Northern California into Southern California to replenish the reservoirs. If he allows that, Trump will help him. But again, Newsom does not necessarily want that to happen. President Trump said, fine, I'll cut him off. See what happens then. Newsom hasn't learned. Newsom is the governor. And no, I'm not pronouncing his name correctly, and I'm not going to. Because Newsom is scum. He's scum. He's driven the economy of California into the ground. The state of California is basically bankrupt because of what Newsom has done. And Newsom continues. If Newsom wants to recover California, he will play President Trump's cards. He will play by the rules that President Trump has set up. President Trump does want to help people. President Trump wants people to succeed. He doesn't want to see people hurt. But that Democrat governor doesn't care. The Democrat government doesn't care. Newsom doesn't care. Schumer doesn't care. Pelosi doesn't care. None of them care. They care about their own pocket. They care about their own pocket. And President Trump is cutting them off. He's cut off their lobbyists, not allowing that money to come available for the lawmakers, cutting them off. That's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. President Trump's not going to allow what happened to continue. Yes, we may be in for a rough ride for the next few months until we bring oil up from the ground, and oil prices will come down as that happens. And when oil prices come down, the cost of shipping goods will also come down. Then we will see price changes then going down. But for now, things might be high for a little while longer. But I believe we're going to get through it. I believe we're going to get through it. Now, let's give President Trump some time here. Let's give President Trump some time. Okay? What has gone on has been terrible. Okay? The Democrats are protesting all over the place, make it seem like President Trump's the problem. The Democrats have been the one raising prices and throwing the budget out the door where the United States could become bankrupt. That's why President Trump brought in Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. President Trump has also hired some young people that are very familiar with United States computer systems to help Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. They've got into quite a few areas that would have otherwise not been able to be found out about. We need to help support President Trump. Okay? We need to help President Trump do this. Let's be patient with him. Let's let Elon Musk do his job. Okay? I'm not saying it lightly either. Let's let him do his job. Representative Don Beyer, Democrat from Virginia, who represents more than 70,000 federal workers in his own district, said the protests will help mobilize support and sway public opinion. No, they won't. No, they won't. President Trump was given a mandate by the people of the United States to make change. Yes, change is hard. But President Trump was given a mandate to make change. These Democrats don't like change. He said, you tear down the federal government, you also tear down our whole society. Democrats want everybody to believe that. It's just not true. Representative Don Beyer, a Democrat, he's one of a dozen or so Democrat leaders who tried to enter Washington headquarters of USAID. But President Trump shut them out. He dismantled USAID, fired everybody, and DOGE moved into the building. Elon Musk has moved beds and cots into DOGE, into the new building at DOGE. So those people can stay there and work as long as they possibly can to help this government get back on its feet. John Francis is saying here in the chat, false accusers. Absolutely. These Democrat lawmakers want their cake and eat it too. They want it to remain the same as it always was, and it's not going to happen. These Democrat leaders tried to enter DOGE, and they couldn't do it. Then they gathered outside the building to protest Trump and Musk's shuttering of the decades-old agency, which is responsible for delivering $40 billion in food and humanitarian aid overseas. $40 billion. President Trump is American first. America first. These Democrats were giving money away literally all over the world. All over the world. Now, if I told you half of what I know, if I told you even half of what I know, you would be appalled. $300 million. $300 million to the communists over in Palestine for condoms. $300 million to Hamas for condoms. Unreal. Why is the U.S. government giving Hamas condoms and spending that kind of money? That's not the only place. Okay? Today I found out about $1 trillion that the Democrats have given away. Unreal. And you heard what happened the week before President Biden went bye-bye. Sending over $1 billion to Ukraine. Unreal. Unreal. At some of the protests on the ground and online, Democrats have been jeered by anti-Trump demonstrators who believe the party is failing to rise to the moment. The Democrat Party is failing to rise to the moment. The protesters against the Democrats are saying, do your job. Do your job. Representative Greg Cesar from Texas, also a Democrat, said, I hear people are frustrated. And when people are asking us to do more, I think we're going to do more. Greg Cesar, a Democrat from Texas, is the chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. The chair of the Progressive Caucus, a full-blown communist organization within Congress. Progressive means communist. He said after the election, a lot of Democrats needed some time to soul search and breathe. And now that time is over. The richest billionaire in the world can now take all of our taxpayer money and data, and he's getting richer from doing it. So it's time for us to get off the mat and get back into the ring. Elon Musk is by far one of the richest people in the world. But what Elon Musk is doing, and I don't think he's taking any compensation from the government to do it. I believe he's volunteering his time just as President Trump is. President Trump is supposed to take $400 million a year. I'm sorry, not million, $400,000 a year. But he's not doing that. President Trump is donating that money to people that need it. Charitable gift to people that need it. Elon Musk is doing the same. The Democrats are going to fight until they're blue in the face. One Democrat went into Congress yesterday to file an impeachment against President Trump again. That has failed. The impeachment has already failed. On Tuesday this week, a few dozen protesters chanted, hey, hey, ho, ho, Elon Musk has got to go. That was outside of the Office of Personnel Management in Washington, D.C. OPM oversees executive branch employees, including Senator Chuck Schumer, Democrat from New York. And Chuck Schumer's been out there protesting, calling for war on the street. The Democrat minority leader calling for war on the street. Calling for war. What kind of representative is that? When we open up the Senate every single morning, we don't pledge allegiance to the billionaires. We don't pledge allegiance to Elon Musk. We don't pledge allegiance to the creepy 22-year-olds working for Elon Musk. We pledge allegiance to the United States of America. We reach out to everyone in this country. Conservatives, libertarians, liberals, Republicans, Democrats, and tell them that we have not months, we have not weeks, but we have days to stop the destruction of the democracy of our country. We must stop. President Trump was given a mandate. Let us let President Trump do it. Dr. Jamin's Place is here in the chat saying the swamp is nasty towards the bottom. Exactly it. The Democrat communists here in this country are at the bottom. And they're looking up. They were at the top. But again, the American people gave President Trump a mandate. Not Biden and not Kamala Harris. They're gone. John Francis is asking, how many billions was laundered in Britain? I wonder. I agree. I can tell you right now, billions of dollars was laundered in Britain. Billions of dollars was laundered in Ukraine. Billions. That has stopped. President Trump shut it down. And now, President Zelensky in Ukraine is begging for money. And President Trump said, if you do what I ask you to do, I might help. If you do what I ask you to do, I might help. So it remains to be seen whether Zelensky really wants help to put money back in his own pocket and give it to Biden, which is what he was doing, or play the game that President Trump wants him to do. We'll see what happens. Democrats are using limited tools at their disposal right now. Trump has put them in check, nearly checkmate. Democrats have the use of the 60-vote threshold to filibuster GOP legislation to try to delay Trump's executive branch and judicial nominees. They tried to delay Pam Bondi's position as a U.S. Attorney General. That stopped. Now she is the United States Attorney General. We need to get we need to get Kash Patel into the FBI. Democrats have been delaying his vote and been all over him, harping on him, lying about him, and lying to his face. That's also going to stop. Senator Brian Schatz from Hawaii, also Democrat, threatened to put a blanket hold on all President Trump's State Department nominees, while others have said Democrats should stall all of President Trump's picks. Again, this is exactly what the Democrat communists want. They want the swamp to stay in power. But President Trump is not going to allow that to happen. Right now, the Communist Democrats are trying to make a unified stand against some of the remaining Trump nominees. Russell Voigt, Budget Director. Okay? They're voting en masse against preceding his nomination earlier this week on Wednesday. Okay? They promised it would be a 30-hour session to keep the Senate up all night long. House Democrats are at a greater disadvantage. Not all think that the public protests around Washington are going to be effective in stopping Trump. They're not going to be. Progressive Rep. Ro Khanna from California said the Democrats need better, bolder tactics, and that he specifically wants to see the Democrat Communist Party unify behind a message that will not vote to release or raise the debt ceiling unless President Trump backs off his unilateral spending cuts. They can't pass a debt ceiling increase without the Democrats. Every single Democrat House and Senate member should stay on the record and say on the record that we will not vote for debt ceiling increase unless we have an ironclad commitment from President Trump and the Office of Budget Management to spend every single dollar that Congress has appropriated. Really? Really? Allowing the Congress to continue to do whatever it wants? That day's over. That day's over. The battle's just begun. And right now, President Trump is winning. President Trump is winning, he's going to win. Democrats are trying to get to a March 14th deadline for Congress to fund the government or shut it down. The Democrats want to shut the government down. Party leaders said there's no value to strike a new spending deal if Trump can ignore the part of it that he does not like. If you don't think you could ever get a budget again in the U.S. Congress under anyone, if we don't start setting up rules that the law is law, how do parties negotiate if the president doesn't have to do it? The president does. Again, the president had a mandate from the people. But President Trump had a mandate from the people. It doesn't matter anymore what the Democrats want. It's what the people of the United States want and will get. That is the party that wants to do damage to our country. And that is stopped. That is stopped. 2 weeks ago, President Trump returned to the White House. Democrats have been grappling with the question of how to aggressively take him on or take him out. Before he was even elected, they tried to kill him twice. Now the Democrats are out for blood again. President Trump took on Iran as well this week. Iran threatened to take President Trump out. President Trump has already set it up. If Iran takes him out, Iran tries to take President Trump out, killing him. There are already orders to destroy Iran, to completely destroy Iran where it never will ever be. There are already orders made. If he is taken out by Iran or anybody else, those people will pay. So anyway, guys, that is a story from Washington, and literally all over the United States, and also Los Angeles. Now, why am I talking about it? This program is an international program. That's because what happens here in the United States affects everybody worldwide. That's why. And I'm always going to talk about things that affect each one of us. I promise you, I will only address those things that will affect each and every one of us. Okay? We talk about emergencies, we talk about disasters, we talk about anything that could harm us. That's why we're talking about this. This has nothing to do with politics as usual. That will never happen again. I promise you. Anyway, let's go forward. I want to talk about emergency preparedness tonight. That's my primary focus. Fridays are emergency preparedness Fridays. Tonight I want to talk about, again, emergency preparedness kits. I want to ask you a question. John Francis is saying Iran is Persia. You're right. It's biblical. Absolutely right. But let's talk about emergency preparedness kits. I told you this story way back in 2014 when FEMA sent us each emergency manager around the country a letter, a hard copy letter and an email letter, asking each of us one question. One question only. How many of you emergency managers have emergency preparedness kits? A 72-hour kit. They asked us each if we had a 72-hour kit. At that point in time, FEMA was asking all of us, emergency managers, to tell our flocks, tell our cities and our counties around this country to have emergency preparedness kits. 2 to 3 weeks later, FEMA released the results of that survey, the one-question survey. The answer came back as only 25% of emergency managers around the United States had emergency preparedness kits. 25%. Now, I am asking each one of you. Yes, I am an emergency manager. I am talking to thousands of you. 2 days ago, we had over 7,000 people watching this program. Last night, we had 3,000 people watching this program. So I'm talking to thousands of people right now. YouTube is trying to suppress my numbers, but I know who I'm talking to. I'm asking each one of you, how many of you have an emergency preparedness kit? Send me an email, rltnspdema@gmail.com. Right below this video today, in the top of our program description, you're going to see a link to join as a member of our EMA family here on YouTube. You're going to see that link. Now, one of our own members here on EMA, wonderful lady, just gave everybody, or excuse me, not everybody, just gave a bunch of people here on this channel 30-day membership to our program. Heidi Petrick just gifted 5 people memberships to our program. Thrive Integrative, Mom of Angel 14, Allison Wonderland, XZ, and Chris 91, KRYS 91. If you've been gifted a membership, thank Heidi Petrick. Those of you that want to be members of the Emergency Management Associates family here, please do so. Right at the very top of our program description is a link that will take you to our membership. I would love to see more people join our family here on YouTube. Yes, we're going to continue to have members-only videos. I promise you that. Sometime in the next 3 to 4 days, we're going to have another members-only video. It'll probably happen one morning. But I want to tell you this, we're going to do this more often. Why? Because I want people to know what's going on. In an emergency, we may not be able to get through to everybody here on this channel. I want to get everybody here as members, if possible, as members of our program. I think it's important. Okay? I want to get as many people possible as members of our program. It's for all of you. It's for all of our safety here. I want to get you also to where you and your family have at least a 72-hour kit. At least. Right now, FEMA has asked everybody not to just have a 72-hour kit, but an emergency preparedness kit. A full-blown emergency preparedness kit. What is that? Tonight I'm going to give you a list. I'm going to give you an accomplished list of what you need to have. Twirly Cashew at the top of our program description, there's a link to join our program as a member. If you don't have that link, email me or send me an email and I'll email you back a link. Okay? I promise you that. Now, I'm asking each one of you, how many of you have an emergency preparedness kit? Being prepared means having your own food, water, and other supplies to last you at least 72 hours to 6 months. How many of you have enough food in your house to last you at least 3 days to 6 months? Think about that. Think about that. What is it going to take for you to have at least 3 days to 6 months worth of food in your house? Okay? A disaster supply kit is a collection of basic items that you and your household may need in the event of an emergency. Make sure your emergency kit is stocked with items on the checklist that I'm going to give you. I want you now to go get a pen and paper. Get a pen and paper and take notes of everything that I'm going to say. Make a checklist for yourself. Most of the items that I'm going to talk about tonight are inexpensive and easy to find. And any one of them could save your life. Do you need to head to the store? Probably not right away. Probably not right away, but if you don't have things on this checklist, make sure you write things down. If you don't have them on the checklist, then, and only then, you need to save money. You need to save money to get those items because you're going to need them for an emergency. And I believe an emergency is going to happen very soon. John Francis is saying here in the chat, he has storage. Water, cereal, and rice. That's a good start. That's a good start. Ivy Patrick says, got the house working on bag. That's great. Texas lady said, need chickens. What has happened in regards to chickens and eggs? The Biden administration, the Democrat Communist Party here in America, through our agricultural department under Biden, ordered the killing of millions and millions of chickens nationwide. Why? So they could drive up the prices. So they could drive up the prices and create an artificial shortage. That's what the Democrats have done. Eggs here in my store, here in Morganton, North Carolina, 60 eggs, $20. I've done some checking. In some areas around this country, 60 eggs would cost $40 to $60. 60 eggs would cost $40 to $60. That's not a joke. That's because of what the Biden administration has done. Now, as I've said in other broadcasts here, Newsom didn't help. Governor Newsom in California ordered an emergency declaration about the bird flu. Also ordering not just chickens, but beef slaughtered. Beef, cows, chickens, ducks, goats, rabbits, slaughtered. No other state in this country has a state of emergency for bird flu except California. If there was another state that even was contemplating a state emergency because of the bird flu, it would be Washington or Oregon, Nevada or Arizona. That's not happened. Why has it not happened? Because there's no emergency at all. Again, the bird flu has not spread. It's a fantasy. It's a fantasy of the Democrat Communist Party. But they have affected our economy, haven't they? John Francis says his neighbor has chickens, $2.50 a dozen. That's awesome. That's what we need to do. We need to get with our neighbors. We need to get with the farmers in our area that are selling eggs and chickens. This is the only way that we're going to bypass the government, that we're going to be able to get where we need to be. Yes, a state of emergency is with Trump in office, because Trump is going to stop the crap going on. Trump's going to stop the crap from going on. But Trump has been only in office 2 weeks. Give him time. He's going to shut the Democrats down. He's going to shut the Democrats down. Anyway, getting back to this list. I'm hoping you have pen and paper right now, because everything that I have to tell you is important. Make a list. Take notes on this list. Once you take a look at the basic needs, consider this. What unique needs does your family have? What unique needs does your family have? Such as supplies for pets, supplies for seniors, supplies for babies. Think about that. A basic disaster supply kit. A basic disaster supply kit. To assemble your kit, store items in airtight plastic bags. Put your entire disaster supplies kit in 1 or 2 easy carry containers, such as a plastic bin or a duffel bag. A basic emergency supply kit should include the following recommended items. Take notes. Water. At least 1 gallon of water per day per person. 1 gallon of water per person per day. And I'm going up that to 3. Why? Because, folks, you may need to drink at least 4 20-ounce bottles of water per day. Think about that. I drink 4 of these a day. How about water for cooking? How about water for cleaning? How about water for flushing toilets? Taking a quick shower. It takes water, doesn't it? You need to have at least 3 gallons of water per person per day. Now, I buy bottled water for our dogs. I buy bottled water for my wife and I. Right now, we have 5 cases of water in our supply kit. 5 cases of water will last us about 4 months. We're going up that to 6 months. Dr. Jamin's place here in the chat saying tap water can keep for 3 months if completely airtight. What I'm going to tell you to do, we have gallon jugs that we have for our pets, that we have for our cooking. We have gallon jugs of water that we buy for our dogs and for using to cook with. When we use one of those bottles, we replace it with tap water. Why? Because we can use that tap water to cook with if need be, and to flush toilets, and to clean with. Okay? You can also use that water to water your garden if necessary. Okay? I don't want to drink it. I want to use it. And Carol and I do that. So again, we store every gallon of water that we can get. We have 5 gallon containers of water. That's 25 gallons there. We also have gallon jugs of water that we have saved. After we use 1 gallon that we buy, we fill it with tap water. We have got about 100 gallons of water saved so far. Think about that. John Francis also said, might as well put a huge water tank in your backyard. I've done that. You can get a 50-gallon water bottle. You can get a 50-gallon water container at different stores. You can get them ordered from Walmart. You can order from Costco. You can order from Sam's Club. Sam Club has those in their stores. You can buy them. You can take a hose bib from your hardware store, your home supply store. Get a hose bib. Put that on one end of your 50-gallon container. On the other end, put a spigot. Why is that? Because on one end, you're going to attach a hose to that hose bib. One end of the hose goes to your house. The other end goes to that water container. You fill it up through the hose. In an emergency, if there's an emergency, and you can't have water coming from the street in your house and you have to shut off the water. It's a very easy thing to do is to go out and turn off the water supply to your 50-gallon container. Well, you may want to hook several containers together. You can do that one hose to another container, to another container, to another container. You can do that. That also works. Okay? What I've done, I've gotten some tubifores just like this. I put those tubifores together with a great big lug and a bolt to hold it together. Okay, just like this, 2 of them. Then I'll link both those two with another tubifore together, so they're hooked together and won't separate. Then the top of that X, the top of both those X's, I put the 50-gallon container. That will hold that 50-gallon container tight. Okay? At the bottom of these X's, I put another tubifore, and I bolt that together so the X doesn't separate at all. But I put that 50-gallon container on the top of it, off the ground. Off the ground. Okay? Put a hose bib on one end, and I put the faucet on the other. That way I can water my garden from that. And if necessary, I can shut off the water supply from the house. That way I have my own supply of water, completely clean and sanitized, that I can use. Okay? John Francis is here in the chat saying, my wife and I have 2 big osmosis tanks in a small building from her old water station in the Philippines. We have to fly there if there's an emergency. Yeah, you don't want to have to do that. But you can buy these great big 50-gallon water jugs at Sam's Club or even Costco. Or if you have an emergency outlet in your town or city, get it. If not, you can order it online. Look at Preparedness.com. Look at Preparedness.com. They have several storefronts, actually quite a few storefronts in Utah. Emergency Essentials. You can order those from them as well. Okay? We have stores here in Morganton. Rural King and Tractor Supply also have those 50-gallon barrels. Okay? Use that to supply your water. Wash them out really good. Then put your water supply in those. Okay? People have used those and stack them in their garage and have 4 or 5 barrels in their garage. Okay? You can do that. You can do that. Surgery says, and there's always boiling the water. That may take time. Plus, if you boil the water, it doesn't have the same taste. You boil the air out of the water. You boil the oxygen content out of the water. John Francis is asking, Ron, would you suggest creek water? No. No. Why? It used to be that creek water, if it was a flowing creek, was probably safe to drink. Not any longer. Why? Because of the fertilizers that we use and other things that are in the ground contaminate the creek water or river water. Okay? You've seen that over at the Salton Sea in the Imperial Valley. The Salton Sea used to be a place to play in the water, similar to the Pacific Ocean. It used to be a really great place. Now the Salton Sea is contaminated, completely contaminated. You don't want to be there. You don't want to be there. Okay? That happens with creek water and river water as well. Okay? Not a good thing, is it? Not a good thing. Okay? 2 to 3 gallons of water per person per day minimum. Minimum. Drinking and sanitation. Drinking and sanitation. Food. Again, I'm talking minimums here. You need to at least have a 3-day supply of non-perishable food. That's for a 72-hour kit. I'm asking people now to start building towards a 6-month supply of food in your house. A 6-month supply of food in your house. Yes, you can start with a 72-hour kit. I have no problems with that, but get it done. Once you have a 72-hour kit, work on 6 months worth of food. 3 days will fly by. 3 days will fly by. With a 3-day supply of food, you may have to ration your food. We have smaller amounts of food per day. However, you don't want to do that for very long. You need at least 2,000 calories a day per person. Per person. Okay? Start for 72 hours and then get 6 months worth of food. Work on that. So now we talked about water and food. Let's talk about battery-powered or hand-crank radios. Battery-powered or hand-crank radios. I'm going to talk about this now. This is an AM/FM hand-crank weather radio. And AM/FM weather radio. You need to have this. Why? If you don't have this, you're not going to be able to get communications of information when you need it. You're not going to have the communications when you need it. How else are you going to find out about emergency information? How else are you going to find out about emergency information if you have no way to get it? Okay? Your other radios in your home, if you lose power, you're done for. If you lose power, you're done for. At least with this. On the back of this, we have a hand crank. You generate your own power here. Keep this radio operational. Okay? With the hand crank, you can get this radio operational for an unlimited power time. Also, something else you need to know about. Some radios, like I've had in the past, have this. This is a solar panel at the top of the radio. This recharges the radio. The solar panel recharges the radio as well. Okay? It also runs on backup batteries. Carol and I have a supply of batteries here in our house. AA, AAA, 9-volt batteries, C-cell batteries, and D-cell batteries for flashlights. We have them here. We have them here. You need to have it too. A battery-powered or hand-crank radio which has NOAA, National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration radio with tone alert. With tone alert. The National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration is a weather radio. An AM/FM weather radio. You can switch between FM, AM, or weather. Now, why is that important? The reason that is important is your local emergency government can go on the weather radio channel and broadcast emergency information to your area if necessary. They can usurp the weather radio channel to keep you in tune with emergencies in your area. Okay? Remember that. Now, Sergey is here on the channel. You're a friend of mine. He's also mod on the channel. He said, you need a good knife, in your pack. I agree. I agree. I have 7 different knives here with me. One I carry with me on my pants, in my pocket. It's got a 3-inch blade. Completely legal. Completely legal. Okay? It's got a clip on the one side of it so I can clip it to my pants pocket. It's there. I also have other knives in my 72-hour kit, our emergency preparedness kit. I've got, for you to see, this utility knife here. You can be surprised what this knife will do. Some knives have a spoon on them. Some have a pair of pliers such as this. This also has multiple knives here. Multiple knives. It will be very serviceable to you. This also has a pants clip right here. Think about what you can do with that. This may cost you upwards of $30 if you can spare it, if you think you need it. I'm just showing you. Okay? Berlin Mustafa says CB radio for a car in your house. A car and your house. My CB radio in my car and here in the house has weather radio built into it as well. My CB radio in the car, and this one in the house, has a NOAA weather radio built into it. Yes, it requires an antenna that I can put up outside the window of my house. You have to have an outside antenna. It doesn't work very well indoors. But I have the ability and permission from my management team here where I live that if an emergency happens, I can put an antenna out to broadcast emergency information. I have that capability. Okay? Think about that. The radio that I have here for CB and ham radio. Yes, I have ham radio here in the house. Okay? It takes a backup battery. I have a 12-volt gel cell. I have a 12-volt gel cell that I can hook up and power both of those radios. I also have a charging device to keep that gel cell totally serviceable 24/7. Think about that. Think about that. Okay? Think about that. Dr. James Place is talking about a Swiss Army knife with 32 functions. That's awesome. Okay? Now, yes, surgery, I'm going to talk about sleeping here in a few minutes. Okay? Stay with me, guys. Stay with me. Now, let's talk about flashlights. Carol and I have flashlights downstairs in our living room. We have another flashlight in our kitchen. We have 2 flashlights in our bedroom. I have multiple flashlights here in our office broadcasting facility here. This is one of my flashlights here. It has a charging ability right there. It has a charging ability right here where I can plug it into my computer to keep it charged. It's a very bright light. Okay? A very bright light. I have another flashlight here. It runs on batteries. This one right here. It has one end of the flashlight right here at the light portion. The outside of the light is a serrated edge here. You can break a car window with this. You can break a car window with this. It's a very bright light also. Also, it has 2 different functions. It has one function where it's a bright light. Actually, it has 3 functions. One light that is a bright, very bright light. The other is a less bright light that's good for short distances. The other one is a strobe light. A strobe light, so I can signal for help. This is the great light. The other flashlight I've had here that I've talked about on the air many, many times. This flashlight is very important as well. Let me pull it out here. Okay, this is the Halo XT flashlight. This is the Halo XT flashlight. Right here is a solar panel. The solar panel that keeps this flashlight operational. Also right here, this is also surrounded by LED lights here to use as a work light. This is a flashlight here. A very, very bright flashlight. I'm not going to turn it on because it will burn the inside workings of our camera here. I don't want to do that. It also has a strobe function, so I can signal for help. This flashlight can be seen over a mile distance. This light can be seen for over a mile distance. The Halo XT flashlight from 4 Patriots Food. 4 Patriots. I'm going to talk about 4 Patriots again in a minute. Okay, right here. This is also a glass break here. This pointed edge right here is a glass break here to break any side window of a car or any other window. Okay, right here. Right here is to cut paper. And I suppose you could cut a seatbelt with it as well. This is a very sharp knife right here on the side of the light here. Right there. Okay, this is a blade here. All right. Second or third or fourth. Right here. This is a magnet. This magnet can attach this flashlight anywhere where there's a metal surface, whether it's in your car, your refrigerator, anywhere else. It can stick to any solid metal surface. Just like that. Okay? This button you use here to turn it on. This button you use here to turn it on. Also, something else you ought to know. On the end of this flashlight, there's a compass. A compass. In order to find out how to operate with a map, you need a compass. How to orient a map, you need a compass. This has a compass. You can take this compass off the flashlight. You can unscrew it from the flashlight and use it as a compass. Also right here, you can charge your phone, and you can also charge this flashlight from a home source at your computer. Okay? You charge it here from your computer or from your home electrical supply. Okay? So you can charge it from the sun, you can charge it from your home electrical supply, or you can charge your phone also from this flashlight. It's a Halo XT flashlight. You can buy it from 4patriots.com. 4patriots.com. Okay. Something else that we have. Okay. Carol and I have freeze-dried food in the house. We have a several-month supply of freeze-dried food in our house. This is a 72-hour kit here. We have multiple 72-hour kits, and we have 2 months worth of freeze-dried food in our house. Okay? 4 Patriots. I highly recommend this food. It's very tasty, very nutritious food. It's not like normal Army rations. Army rations will give you constipation or diarrhea. Sometimes Army rations are fine, but not over a long period of time. Army rations get very old. This food is made to keep around for 25 to 30 years. Okay, when you want this food, how do you get it? Get on the phone and take this number down now. Write this number down. 4 Patriots. 800-607-0943. 4 Patriots Food is 1-800-607-0943. Think about that. This is great food, guys. This is great food. I highly recommend 4 Patriots. There's another company out there. There's actually several companies. Mountain House Foods, Emergency Essentials, and there's also a 72-hour kit you can buy from Walmart. It's all good food. The reason I recommend 4 Patriots is that you want to have great food. Everything is packaged to my specifications, their specification, but mine as well. And they have all kinds of other emergency equipment you can buy. For 4 Patriots or Emergency Essentials. Okay? It's great. Dr. James Place said they have a website as well. I agree, they do. They do. Okay? I highly recommend you get hold of them. If you're very interested in survival food and you have the money for it. It sometimes can get a little pricey, but you can buy a little here and a little there. I first started with 72-hour kits because I could buy a 72-hour kit for less than $20. Okay? But you can buy a 2-month worth of supply of food, and they'll throw a bunch of 72-hour kits in with it. Just a hint. Just a hint. Okay? Think about that. Think about that. Also, have a first aid kit. A first aid kit. On another night, I'll talk about first aid and the things you need in your kit. Okay? Now, we talked about batteries. As I said, we have a huge supply of batteries here. D cell, C cell, AA, AAA, and we have 9-volt batteries for our smoke detectors and our CO2 detectors here in our house. It's important. Now, we also have whistles. Now, I have one example of a whistle right here. This whistle is also an emergency red light right here. This emergency red light can help illuminate papers that I have here, and it's in the dark. That's why it's a red light. It doesn't break my night vision. It doesn't ruin my night vision. But it's also a whistle right here. I have various emergency whistles, including a whistle that I had as a police officer. A very loud, ear-piercing whistle. You need to have a whistle. Why? Because if there's an emergency, you might be buried under a bunch of stuff. If you have that whistle in your pocket, you may not have to yell. I recommend you don't, because you're going to lose your voice, and then there's going to be further problems. But you can always whistle. You can always use a whistle to get hold of people. A whistle will do a lot of things. A whistle can also protect you in an emergency. If somebody tries to attack, you whistle, and very loudly. Okay? Whistles are a great thing. Have a whistle to signal for help. A dust mask. Dust mask. During that COVID scare that we had before, again, it was a trumped up thing. I'm not saying it was for Trump at all, but it was made up. It was all made up. COVID came out of China, and they're still saying it wasn't. It was. Okay? They said to wear masks. Fauci said to wear masks. Guess what? The masks that he said to wear were surgical masks. But within 10 to 15 minutes after you put it on, it was worthless. Totally worthless. Why? Because the sweat or your breath that contains water vapor will saturate the mask, making it completely useless in trying to protect you from any viruses or bugs getting through the mask. Paper mask, worthless. Again, what we recommend now are not just dust masks, but N95 or N100 masks. They're certified to help protect against particulates that you get in the volcanic eruption or any other dust or anything else that's going to happen. An N95 or an N100 mask. Okay? Now, a few years ago, we couldn't even say that word because YouTube would come down on me hard, eliminating me from the air. But I'm giving you this information to protect you and your family, to help filter contaminated air. Now, the other thing I want to talk about, along with dust mask, is plastic sheeting. Plastic sheeting. I'm talking about tarps. Plastic sheeting and tarps. Why? In case of a nuclear blast, radiation blast, you're going to want to have these plastic tarps or plastic sheeting to cover your doors and windows with, and duct tape to hold the plastic tarps in place. Duct tape. 4 rolls of duct tape minimum. 4 rolls of duct tape minimum. You can never be without enough duct tape. Okay? Plastic sheeting, I recommend at least 4 10 by 10 sheets of tarp. Okay, 4 of them. They're fairly inexpensive. They're easy to get. Okay, they're fairly easy to get. Plastic sheeting and duct tape. You can also use those tarps to shelter in place. You can make a tent. You can string a rope or paracord. I have 6 500 lengths of paracord. Parachute cord. It's strong, almost unbreakable, and it can help put up a tent. Stretches paracord between 2 trees or anything else that's solid, and put a tarp over it to make a tent to help shelter you. Okay, think about it. Think about that. Write that down. Write that down. Okay. Survey's putting up a lot of good information, guys. If you are watching this and you're monitoring the chat, write those things down as well. Okay? Plastic sheeting and duct tape. Moist towelettes. Moist towelettes. Garbage bags. Garbage bags. Scented and unscented. Black plastic trash bags. Large plastic trash bags. And plastic ties for personal sanitation. Go over to your home supply center. Go over to your home supply center, such as Home Depot or Lowe's. Buy a 3-gallon bucket. Buy a 3-gallon bucket. They're also inexpensive. You want to buy also a plastic toilet seat. A plastic toilet seat. You put that black trash bag inside of that bucket. And duct tape 2 sides of it on either side of the bucket. With that plastic trash bag there and that toilet seat, you have an instant emergency toilet. You can use sawdust or kitty litter, just a handful of sawdust or kitty litter, and it will keep that stuff from stinking. And once that trash bag gets kind of full, or your bucket gets kind of full, rope it up. Tie it up with those plastic ties and toss it out. Get it out of your house. Get it out of the place where you're staying. You don't want that stench to be anywhere near you or any other bacteria that could harm you. Personal sanitation, guys. Personal sanitation. Okay? Moist towelettes and garbage bags, and also a supply of toilet paper. You don't have to have a huge supply of toilet paper. You don't have to raid Sam's Club or Costco. But you need a supply of toilet paper for an emergency. Okay? Also, something you might want to see is a church key. A manual can opener. A manual can opener. Okay? A bottle opener, a church key to open food or bottles with. Think about that. A can opener, or what we call a church key. A church key or can opener can fit in your pocket. You don't want one that's electrical operated. A manual can opener. You also need paper maps. Local paper maps. For your area and your state. For your area and state. You need some 1-gallon plastic bags. 1-gallon plastic bags with zip ties. Okay, Ziploc on the plastic bag. Where you can, when you mark up your map with escape routes away from your house to a safe place, put those maps inside that 1-gallon bag and Ziploc it so it doesn't get damaged. You're also going to want a Ziploc bag like that for your copies of your identification cards, passports, driver's licenses, medical information cards, stuff like that. Insurance cards, your titles to your car, titles to your house, rental agreements, all that stuff should go in that plastic bag. You may have to have several Ziploc bags for those IDs for all of your family. And then on the outside of it, put Johnny Joe, Ron Lee, or whoever it is. That way you know what that bag contains. Okay? Now, I have gone through here and put up information on our channels before when we talked about emergency supplies. This program title is Emergency Preparedness. Anytime you see a title in the name of one of our programs that has Emergency Preparedness, then go for that program. Watch that program. That program is stuffed full of information you're going to need for an emergency. Okay, I'm just telling you. You're going to need that information for an emergency. This channel talks about emergencies. It talks about disasters. We also talk about preparedness. Additional emergency supplies that you may need. Okay? Currently, and I don't like the Center for Disease Control. I think they're worthless. But the Center for Disease Control recommends people have additional items in their emergency kits to prevent the spread of coronavirus or other viruses such as the flu. Again, yes, there are coronaviruses around, but their COVID was a bunch of crap. It was all politics. It was all politics, guys. I promise you. Consider adding the following items to your emergency kit based on your emergency needs for yourself and your families. Cloth face coverings, bandanas for everyone ages 2 and above. Soap, hand sanitizer. My wife and I have hand sanitizer in our emergency kits. We have hand sanitizer in our bedroom. Disinfecting wipes. We have disinfecting wipes down in our kitchen and below every sink in our house in the bathrooms. We have disinfecting wipes in our emergency kits as well to disinfect surfaces. They're very inexpensive, but you can still get them. I highly recommend you have that. Okay? I recommend you have that. It's important. Prescription medicines. Non-prescription medicines such as pain relievers, whether it be Advil, Tylenol, or whatever pain reliever you like or your body can handle. I can't handle naproxen, for example. So Carol and I do not have naproxen here in our house. She likes Advil and I have to have Tylenol according to my doctor. So we have both here. Anti-diarrhea medication as well. People don't like me talking about it, but I'm going to talk about it now. Anti-diarrhea medication. It's very easy to pick up a virus. It will cause you to literally lose all the water in your system, and diarrhea can do that. You want to control diarrhea. Antacids, laxatives, prescription eyeglasses and contact lens solution. While we're talking about glasses, you need some way to keep your glasses clean. You can have wipes, or you can have some glass spray and use a special cloth, a microfiber cloth, to keep your glasses clean. You may also want to have water to wash the crap off your glasses before you clean them. That way you keep your lenses from being scratched. Infant formula. Again, we're talking about children here. Infant formula. Bottles. Baby bottles. Baby bottles can be used for a wide variety of uses. Diapers. Diapers, folks. Baby wipes. Baby wipes. Diaper rash cream. Pet food. Extra water for your pet. a pet bed, a pet blanket, pet toys, toys for your small children, toys and games for your children and your pets. Why do you want to have that? Because the last thing you want to have is a child angry at you because they don't understand. They don't have very much of a attention span. They may get really frustrated with what's going on. You need to have a way of keeping them occupied and keeping your pets occupied as well. Their favorite toy and a blanket can keep them very happy. A ball and a chew toy, or even a stuffed pet animal that your kids like to play with or your pets like to chew up. Think about that. John Francis says Pepto-Bismol as well. I agree. Don't forget your children. Don't forget your pets either. I never want to see another pet separated from its owner during a disaster. We saw that happen again in Los Angeles. Pets that were lost that survived the fire in Los Angeles have now been shipped all around the United States. They've lost their families. Pets have feelings. Dogs and pets have feelings, guys. Some of them will shut down. Some of those pets will become very angry with anybody because they've lost everything they've ever known. They've lost everything they've ever known or loved. They can become angry. They can attack. If you are adopting a pet that came out of Los Angeles or any other emergency, be advised. You need to give time for that pet to decompress. And be very careful. Offer that pet loving and attention when you can. But offer that pet time to decompress. It might take days or it could take weeks. But don't give up on it. Those pets will be lasting companions forever. I promise you that. Okay? Don Patoga's here in the chat, also one of my best friends and a mod on our channel. He says campfire charcoal for a godsend. Yes. Campfire charcoal. You can make charcoal yourself if you want. It's not that hard. Okay? Pet food, water, a blankie, and toys. Cash. Cash. Now I know ready.gov says traveler's checks as well. I don't like traveler's checks. Not every store will accept traveler's checks. Stay away from checks. Have extra cash. Every time Carol and I can do it, we try to save cash. We don't get any bills, anything higher than a $10 bill, ever. Most of our bills are $1 and $5 bills. Why? Because, folks, what if the power goes out and a store remains open? You don't want to give a store $5 for a bottle of water, or $10 for a bottle of water, or $20 for a bottle of water, or whatever it is. Keep the amount of money in bills low. Get a lot of it and keep the bills low in denomination. That way you will have enough money in an emergency to survive. Also put that amount of money away in a plastic Ziploc bag. Keep it in a Ziploc bag with your emergency supply kit. Okay? Now, remember this. I briefly touched on this a little bit earlier. Important family documents, such as copies of insurance policies, identification cards, driver's licenses, passports, bank account records, insurance documents, deeds to property, deeds to your house and your car. All that information should also go in one of those gallon baggies. Okay? You can save that also electronically on a stick like this. Make sure you have 2 or 3 of these. You can carry these around in your pocket if you have to. Keep them dry. They can also go in a small sandwich type bag to keep them dry. These will save your electronic information. You might want to have, like I said, at least 2 of these sticks. Okay? Put them in a waterproof container or a bag, like I said, a Ziploc bag. Okay? Make sure you have a sleeping bag and blankets. Sleeping bag and warm blankets for every person. Have a complete change of clothing appropriate for every season. A complete change of clothing for every season. Right now we are in the winter. You might want to consider long sleeve shirts. Long sleeve shirts. If you get very cold, you might want to have even a warmer kind of cloth for your shirts. But make sure those shirts are comfortable to wear. Wool, flannel, whatever it is. Stay warm. A complete change of clothing, pants as well. Nowadays, you can buy linered pants. Where the pants have a liner to keep you warm. You might also consider long underwear. Long underwear. A shirt and pants, long underwear. They're fairly inexpensive, but they'll keep you warm. Sleeping bag and or a warm blanket. I'm going to say and a warm blanket. Sleeping bag and a warm blanket and a tent. Try, if you can, to have a tent. If you have a family, you may want a larger tent. Carol and I have a couple 3-man tents. Those 3-man tents at best when you have equipment. If you have those 3-man tents, they may only sleep 2 people. But if you have a larger tent, you can have more people, you can have more equipment. Sleeping bags and a warm blanket. We have wool blankets here. Wool blankets. Long time ago, several years ago, I mentioned a Mexican blanket. At the time, I didn't have any. My ex-wife kept them when we got a divorce. Someone sent me a really, really nice Mexican blanket. And I would give anything. I'm trying to find another warm Mexican blanket here. Yes, we have other blankets here, but Mexican blankets are awesome. Make sure you have at least 1 per person. 1 per person. When we're talking about a complete change of clothing, underwear as well. Underwear as well. Socks. Make sure you have at least 1 dry pair of clean socks. Sturdy shoes. Sturdy shoes. I have hiking boots, and I've also got my old police boots that still fit. Very sturdy boots. Very sturdy boots. Good soles. Really good soles, guys. Good soles. Something you might want to have also for your house and your car is a fire extinguisher. A fire extinguisher. Dr. James' place says hand and feet warmers as well. I agree. We have quite a few of those in our house and in our emergency preparedness kit as well. Matches in a waterproof container. Feminine hygiene supplies and hygiene items, personal hygiene items, both men, women, and children. Plastic utensils, mess kits. Carol and I in our 72-hour kit have mess kits. Mess kits in our 72-hour kit, and they can be transferred from our 72-hour kit to our full emergency preparedness kit. Paper cups, plastic cups, plates, paper towels, plastic utensils. We have metal utensils here. Metal utensils. Yes, you have to wash those metal utensils. Plastic ones you can throw away. However, what happens when you run out of plastic utensils? You're up quick without a paddle. That's why we have metal utensils and our mess kits. Our mess kits are awesome. Our mess kits we bought at Army Surplus Store. They're very good mess kits. They're not like your Scout mess kits when I was Scout. They're a lot better than that. Surgery saying an extra pair of socks in your backpack. I agree. Something else you need to have in your emergency kit. Paper and pencil. Have a couple of different size pads of paper and several pencils and or pens. Several pencils and or pens. Okay? Books. Books to keep you, your spouse, and your children happy and occupied. Games, puzzles, or other activities for children and your pets. Again, don't forget your pets. Okay? Does anybody have any questions about anything I've said? Okay? Does anybody have any questions about anything I've said? Dr. James Place said need metal. I agree. Okay? Surgery says 2 lightweight but effective packs for an overnighter or 1 major one for home. I agree. Too much plastic, not a good idea. Linda Covington says, I totally agree, Linda. That's why I said metal. Metal. Yes, you have to clean those, but they will always be around for you. Dr. James Place says, I always keep some heavy cookware around. Good home defense. I totally agree. Okay? When I talked about clothing, I forgot to talk about coats and jackets and rainwear. Don't forget that as well. Don't forget that as well. Also hats. I have ball caps, and I also have those beanie caps to keep our ears warm. Those are vital. Those are vital. Okay? Don Patoka says you can cook eggs over fire with a stick and a paper bag. Absolutely. Absolutely. Does anybody have any questions about anything we talked about tonight? I told you guys I was going to talk about emergency this tonight, and I have. Yes, we've kind of gone way over time, and we came on late. I know it's after 11 p.m. Eastern time here. I know it's getting late. Does anybody have any questions? Suri says this video is loaded with great ideas and information. Thank you, Sir Dad. I appreciate that. And yes, it is. That's why we're here. That is exactly why we're here. I want to make sure you have this information. We talked about it many times before. Dr. James Place says it's Friday. This is Preparedness Friday, guys. This is Preparedness Friday. Yes, we talked about other things that can affect us as well. By the way, before I leave here, one of the things I wanted to talk about, that is the earthquakes over in the Aegean Sea. Let me take my webcam down for just a minute. Take our banner down. I'm going to go over here and talk about what's happening over in the Aegean Sea, and we'll briefly talk about larger earthquakes around the country, around the world today. Okay, let's go over here to the Aegean Sea in Europe. Okay, I want to talk about what's going on. Now, USGS is terrible. USGS should have their hands slapped. This is not what's exactly happening in the Aegean Sea. The USBS is showing 5 earthquakes today. Only 5 earthquakes. They're showing this 5.1 earthquake here. Folks, this happened at 7:16 a.m. this morning. There's another 5.1 earthquake. We've been having large 5.0 plus earthquakes every day now for several weeks. 5.0 and larger earthquakes I consider large earthquakes, regardless of what USGS wants to call them. USBS is calling them light, or I'm sorry, they're calling 5.0 earthquakes moderate. There's nothing moderate about a 5.0 earthquake. 5.0 and larger earthquakes can do damage. They can kill you. They can kill you. Moderate earthquakes, 4.0 to 4.9, can also do extensive damage. USGS is calling 5.0 to 4.9 light. There's nothing light about a moderate earthquake. There's nothing light about a moderate earthquake. USGS is lying through their teeth. These are the earthquakes that have happened here today in the Aegean Sea. USGS is lying through their teeth. Why am I saying that? Let me show you something. Let me show you something. This is going to put USGS to shame, just as I've done before. I'm going to continue to do it. Again, USGS needs to be put in their place. Let me show you what is really going on. Let me show you what's really going on here. Now with this, I'm going to give you a larger picture of what we're talking about. I want you to know what's actually going on. Okay? I want you to see this. Look here. Yesterday here in the Aegean Sea, oh, darn it. Hold on a second. In the Aegean Sea, it says 100 plus earthquakes. Yesterday it said 200 plus earthquakes. We are continuing to have a lot of earthquakes here in the Aegean Sea. Okay? It's not 5 earthquakes like the USGS wants us to believe. Again, the United States Geological Survey cannot be trusted. They cannot be trusted at all. Look at the earthquakes in Turkey. Turkey earthquakes have increased today. They've increased today. Yesterday they were some earthquakes in the north and some earthquakes in the south of Turkey. And only a handful of earthquakes in the west. Look at all the earthquakes there today. Over here in Greece, and then the Dokanese Islands here. All these islands west of Greece are the Dokanese Islands. They belong to Greece. They belong to Greece. All these 100 plus earthquakes here in the Dokanese Islands, all those islands belong to Greece, and advise, each and every one of these islands here in the Dokanese Islands were caused by volcanoes. They were caused by volcanoes. USGS would have us to believe that they are earthquakes caused by earthquake tectonics. Earthquake tectonics. Guys, these earthquakes are not in an earthquake-prone area with earthquake faults. These are earthquakes in an island-centered area, volcanic area. Volcanic area. Okay? There's no small reason that they evacuated Centauri Island and other islands around it. Each and every one of those islands is volcanic. And I've told you before, the volcanoes are recharging around this planet. The volcanoes around this planet are recharging. They're going to erupt. I believe we're going to have an eruption over here in the Dokanese Islands. And considering all the earthquakes that keep happening, it's going to come probably very soon, unless things calm down here. And even if things calm down, it's happened before when things calm down, that we all of a sudden get a major eruption from the volcano. But be advised, this is what is actually going on. It's not like the USGS saying, oh, there's nothing going on. They hardly show anything. Yes, there are major events happening. And I'm not going to lie to you. I'm concerned. I'm very concerned. Look at the earthquakes here in Italy. Southern Italy has gone crazy. There were only a handful of earthquakes in southern Italy yesterday, and now there's 20 plus. Central Italy, 20 plus earthquakes there. Look at the earthquakes in Europe. Look at the earthquakes there in Europe. Okay? What does it say here, over here in the Alps? What does it say here in the Alps? Okay? 20 plus earthquakes. There were a handful of earthquakes there yesterday. A handful of earthquakes there yesterday. Those are in the Alps. And 10 more. 10 more earthquakes there. It's concerning, isn't it? It should be. It should be very much concerning. When the agencies lie and don't tell you the truth, there's very much a reason to become very concerned. The number of earthquakes in Spain has gotten higher. Yesterday there were 3 earthquakes in Spain. Look at all the earthquakes today. You should be very concerned. Again, today, over in Iceland. See that volcano over here? That same volcano I told you yesterday, years ago, erupted and stopped all plane travel throughout Europe. Today, 2 earthquakes, not just one. A 2.3 and a 2.9. 2.3 and a 2.9 earthquake here at this volcano. Should anybody in Iceland be concerned? Yes. And so should the people in Europe. And yes, we have quite a few people in Europe that watch this program. That's why we're talking about it. That's exactly why we're talking about it. Should you be concerned? Very. Look at the earthquakes here in South America. You should still be very concerned about the earthquakes in South America. Now, there are earthquakes you should be very concerned about. Southern Peru. Puno, Peru today. Puno, Peru had a 5.3 earthquake here. A 5.3 earthquake here in southern Peru. Guys, also guess what? This earthquake is not very far from Sabancaya volcano. Sabancaya volcano. What you need to know is that this mountain range here, runs from the southern tip of Chile and Argentina all the way up here to Colombia, northern Venezuela here, the Andes Mountains. It's a mountain range of volcanoes. So this 5.3 over here in Puno, Peru, should be very concerning to those people here. 5.3 earthquake, large 5.3 earthquake in Puno, Peru. It's not the only one. It's not the only large earthquake that's happened here. Okay? Let's go over to Tonga. Tonga, guys. South of Tonga, south of the Fiji Islands. This earthquake hit at 5:27 a.m. this morning. This was a 6.3 earthquake. USGS downgraded to a 6.0. This is a very strong earthquake south of Tonga and southeast of the Fiji Islands. A 6.0 earthquake right there. Very dangerous earthquake. Now, while this is out there, it happened away from the islands. It happened away distance from the islands. Should we be concerned? Yes. It had also depth of 37 miles deep. 37 miles deep, guys. Okay? It was away from the islands. The waters of the Pacific Ocean absorbed the shock waves from this quake. If this would have been near the islands, people would probably be devastated today. Injuries and fatalities. But that didn't happen. Because the waters of the Pacific Ocean absorbed the shock waves from this quake. Okay? Need to understand that. Yes, there are earthquakes. There are earthquakes all over the planet. And large earthquakes at that. You need to be aware of what's going on. That's why we talk about it. That is exactly why we talk about it. Let's go back to the map here. Now, just a second. Let me bring back this map. Stupid ads. Stupid Google. Stupid ads. Again, a large earthquake east of the Fiji Islands, south of Tonga. Large earthquake there. Let's back it out. Another large earthquake in Papua, Indonesia. This is a large 5.26 earthquake, Papua, Indonesia. Papua, Indonesia. Let me enlarge this for you. This is along the shoreline. People felt this. People felt this earthquake. Anywhere along the shoreline, there are people that live there. Anywhere there along the shoreline, people live there, especially at the mouth of rivers. At the mouth of rivers, people live there. People that live here felt this earthquake. Large, damaging earthquake in Papua, Indonesia today. Large earthquake, Papua, Indonesia. A 5.2, 5.3 large earthquake. Okay? Now, I'm only talking about large earthquakes here. Yes, they're full of earthquakes all over the map. Literally all over the map. Look at Indonesia here. Look at Indonesia here. Look at all these earthquakes. USGS shows 2. USBS shows 2. That's typical. Up here in the Philippines, USGS shows none. Look at all the earthquakes here in the Philippines. 8 earthquakes here in the Philippines. USBS shows 1. Or I should say none. 0. 0. What's going on? Let's go over here to Taiwan. Western Taiwan. In the same location where we had a 6.4 earthquake just a few weeks ago. Here we have a 4.8 here. This is an aftershock of that 6.4 or larger earthquake here just a few weeks ago. That area is still getting pounded. USGS not showing it. Japan. Let's go over here to Japan. Now, this is an aftershock of an earthquake that happened here last summer. This is in Shika, Ishikawa, Japan. A 1.8 earthquake here, 1.8 tremor. In the same area just north of here. Same area just north of here. Right here near the tip of this peninsula here, western Japan. We had a major 8.4 earthquake here, an 8.4 earthquake here last year. Last year. Just a second. My map has to reset. Somehow it stopped. Somehow it stopped. Over here at the tip of this peninsula here in Japan, we had an 8.4 earthquake. This 1.8 is just an aftershock of that quake. Okay? Earthquakes still happening. Earthquakes are still happening. Over here between Russia and Japan, in the Kuril Islands, we have 3 moderate earthquakes here. 3 moderate 4+ earthquakes here. Okay? Terrible. It really is. Now, over in the Indian Ocean, the Carlsberg Ridge, we've had 2 large earthquakes here in the last 24 hours. Today, we had a 5.47. 5.47 here, the Carlsberg Ridge here in the Indian Ocean. Now, this could be tragic. However, it happened in the Indian Ocean away from any islands here. It happened away from any islands. The waters of the Indian Ocean absorbed the shock waves of this quake. Okay? That is a 5.47 earthquake. Earlier, about 23 hours ago, we had a 5.5. The Indian Ocean is getting hammered. The Indian Ocean is getting hammered. Now, for those of you that have been watching earthquakes in Ethiopia, today they're admitting to 2 earthquakes in Ethiopia. A 4.6 and a 4.8 here in Ethiopia. Again, this eastern ridge here, this northeastern ridge here in Africa, you should be very concerned about. This is going to split. this ridge is going to completely split. Okay? It's going to split that continent in half. At some point in time, there's going to be another major earthquake. I'm talking major. Possibly a 9 to 10.0 earthquake. And this rift zone is going to totally split in pieces. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Now, I've told you about all the larger earthquakes around the globe. I've shown you the other earthquakes have also happened. You need to be concerned. Over in the Atlantic Ocean between Africa and South America, Mid-Atlantic, Central Mid-Atlantic, we had a 4.1 moderate earthquake right here. Right between South America and Africa. A 4.1 earthquake here. Again, nobody felt that earthquake. Because the Atlantic Ocean waters absorb the shock waves of that moderate quake. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Now, there are 50 plus earthquakes here in the northern California area. 20 earthquakes in Southern California and 20 earthquakes in Northern California. Those 20 earthquakes are in the geysers. Those 20 earthquakes are in the geysers. This is Sonoma County, California. The geysers is a geothermal area where men have dug into the upper magma chambers of this volcano right here. They dug into the upper magma chambers of this volcano to harvest steam. As a result, seismic energy comes off the Pacific Ocean and hammers the drill points here. Every one of those drill holes, the seismic energy comes in and fractures the rock, and those drill holes causing earth movement. That's what's actually going on. Just so you know. Okay? In the southern Cascadia subduction zone, over here in Petrolia, California, right there, we had another earthquake. This earthquake is a 3.43 earthquake near the Triple Junction. Closer to shore, we have a 2.6 in the southern Cascadia subduction zone region. The southern Cascadia subduction zone region. The southern Cascadia subduction zone is still very active. Very, very active. Does anybody have any questions for me? Does anybody have any questions for me? In the North Pacific, right just offshore from Vancouver Island, I need to show you this. This is a 3.47 earthquake off of Port Hardy, British Columbia. A 3.47 earthquake over here on the Juan de Fuca Fault. The Cascadia subduction zone region. That's what's going on. Okay? Now that's all I have to say for tonight. Again, does anybody have any questions for me? What department is USGS part of? If I'm not mistaken, they're part of the what do they call it? It's not the forestry department. I don't even remember now. I'll have to look it up. I don't remember, quite honestly off the top of my head. But they need to be taken apart. USBS needs to be taken apart. Okay? Does anybody have any questions? I know we've gone long and far tonight. I'm sorry about that. Guys, one more thing. Tomorrow we'll be off the air unless something happens. I'm telling you this right now. If something happens tonight or tomorrow, we'll come on the air as soon as we can to talk about it, as soon as the information becomes available. Tomorrow we take the day off, unless something major happens. Okay? Sunday we will be coming back on the air with "Come Follow Me," the Savior said. Okay? A Sunday school class we have every week on Sunday. Before I leave the air tonight, I want to leave you with a thought. This thought comes tonight from 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 2. Verse 3. Sorry about that. Let no man deceive you by any means. For that day shall not come except there come a falling away first. That man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. The coming a falling away. What happened? Why was there falling away? Because the people rejected Jesus Christ. They rejected the apostles. They rejected the apostles, except for 3. 3 of Christ's apostles were allowed to stay here on this earth. All the others were taken from the earth. The truth of the gospel was taken from the earth for many, many years. The gospel of Jesus Christ is back. The gospel of Jesus Christ is back. Jesus Christ is the leader of his church. Jesus Christ is coming back. He's coming back to rule and reign. There had to be a falling away, but the gospel of Jesus Christ is back, restored. I have a testimony of Jesus Christ today. I want you to know he is our Savior, our Lord, our King, and our Redeemer. May God be with you this day and always. Consider everything we've talked about. I'm hoping you took notes. I hope you took notes. I'm going to post this broadcast on YouTube so you have it for you in the future. I want to make sure you have it for you in the future. Now, folks, I love you. I love you. Always have and always will. I'm here for each of you. I always will be. I absolutely always will be. I ask the Lord to bless you and be with you. God be with you until we meet again. We'll see you again on Sunday, if not before. God be with you until we meet again, guys. Take care. Have a great night and even a better tomorrow. I'll see you on the other side. Good night, everybody. Much love. Enjoy. Be safe. Take care. Give me a second here, guys. Sorry.